video on a vegetable gratin. Well, layers of vegetables and then layers of toasted breadcrumbs. Yeah, toasted. Well, they were fried. Toasted breadcrumbs. So, what we've got: onions and courgettes, and I'm going to cook this down. And then I've got some. I'm kind of using things up today. So I've got the insides of a courgette, which I use the outsides of the courgette. I don't want to waste it, so we're going to use the insides of a couple of courgettes that I've saved from the compost, and then 5 onions, something like that. So the idea is to cook that down in a bit of oil and some salt, and then I've been through the freezer and I found some nondescript tomato sauce, so we'll cook the vegetables. We'll get them cooking down, and then we'll add that bit of tomato sauce. Might add another tin of tomatoes, and then I was given some mozzarella yesterday, so they can go in. And then I don't know how much weight of vegetables there are yet. There's about 1.2 kilos worth of vegetables. So that's the mixture of the onions and the courgettes and the courgette hearts. Can you call them courgette heart? Yeah, well, it was like I used the outside of the courgette for something else. I did it with pasta, and then I was left with the insides, that softy bit there. Yeah, because the outside kind of, you can cut it very finely and then cook it with pasta. It's very nice. But the inside you can't really do that. It just kind of wants to go too much. So about 1.2 kilos. Probably by the time I've finished chopping the vegetables, taking the skins off the onions, taking the ends off the courgettes, it's probably about 1.1 kilo, something like that. But we're going to lose some weight through cooking, so I'll weigh it of what we've got, and then I've got 450 grams worth of dried. It was dried bread already, so it's probably a lot more weight than that. So it's probably more like 800 grams worth of breadcrumbs if they're fresh breadcrumbs, about 450 grams worth of dry breadcrumbs, and I've just fried those in some olive oil to kind of take on a bit of flavour. So it's going to be layers of, well, I've done this dish before, but it's going to be layers of vegetables on the bottom, and then a layer of breadcrumbs, then a layer of vegetables, a layer of breadcrumbs, build it up, and then we'll dot some of the mozzarella in. We'll probably put it on the layer in like as one of the layers. But you kind of think like pasta bake type of thing, lasagna but instead of layers of pasta, we're going to use layers of breadcrumbs. That's kind of my idea, and then we'll kind of see how much I've got once we're cooking all this down, and we'll weigh it, and I'll decide if I'm going to finish it off with a white sauce on the top of it, so it'll be closer resembling a lasagna. But it just seemed like a good way of using everything forward. So we'll let those cook down. We don't want it to go too dry, because we want the moisture from the vegetables and the tomato sauce to be soaked up by the breadcrumbs. So we don't want dry breadcrumbs throughout the dish. We kind of want them to kind of take on flavour and moisture type of thing. So we'll see. But it just seems like a good way. Well, I did it with fresh beef tomatoes, and it was very nice, because the acidity in the tomatoes kind of cut through the richness of the breadcrumbs. And then I tried it again with the beef ragu, and it wasn't just as nice, it was just a little bit like heavy. So I thought we'll try it again, and we'll try it with just vegetables and some tomato, and we'll see kind of how it works out. But then my idea would be that if it does work out this way, then it would probably also work out if you use like a half beef ragu and half vegetables for the layers, and then breadcrumbs. I just think like the beef ragu that I had was probably just a little bit too rich. So like rich beef ragu and then rich breadcrumbs, because it's my own sourdough, so it's a particularly nice bread. And then the olive oil that goes in, that's going to make it kind of quite rich. So we're getting lots of vegetables. We're getting water coming out of that, so that's fine. So we'll fry these off until they're all cooked, and then we'll stew them down with the tomato. I just haven't. The courgettes were cheap, So I bought all courgettes, but I would do a mixture of courgettes, aubergines, eggplant, whatever you want to call it, and I don't particularly think mushrooms, but like some peppers in there would have been nice. Certainly onions. Onions tend to go in absolutely everything. It's just one of those things that you don't. They just add so much flavour. They add flavour to things that onions. So onions tend to go in everything. So cook this down. Add that. Get it down to a less kind of volume. We'll weigh it, and then we'll build up the layers, and then we'll see how we go. Right. So that's cooked down. I haven't cooked it down too much because I want the moisture. So we'll do 4 layers of vegetables, and we'll just kind of make it up as we go along. I will. So we divide it into 4. That's an easy way to do it. We'll use this dish. So let's just calculate how much 1/4 weighs, and then I'll know for the recipe how much vegetables that we had. We'll just simply times it by 4, and that'll be the amount of vegetables we have. So, that's okay. So there's 250 grams worth of vegetables. Is this going to be? Yeah, we'll just make it thinner. It'll be fine. We'll just make it thinner. So I used tomato sauce that I had in the freezer, but a tin of tomatoes is what we would have used. Yeah, so there's about a kilo worth of vegetables. So what does that weigh? Oh no, we'll just do the same again. I have to do it off camera because the board's not flat, so it'd be a bit wobbly. And then how much? And then we'll see how much per layer of breadcrumbs we want to use. Yeah, so about 100 grams worth of breadcrumbs per layer, like that, and then another layer of vegetables, and then a layer of breadcrumbs, and then maybe a layer of mozzarellas. Yeah, I was given them. I think they're supposed to be quite good quality ones, but they're just not very nice. I tried them yesterday, and they were just. It might be because they were going out of date today, but they're just not. I think they were expensive, really, initially. But you know, otherwise I would have just used a cheap one that I got from the supermarket, like the Smart Price kind of stuff. Or I'd use Feta. So then another layer of breadcrumbs. Feta, you get the cheap salad Feta, which is good enough to use in cooking. So about 100 grams worth of that. You get the idea, don't you? And then I don't think I'm going to finish it off with, because I'm putting these 2 balls of mozzarella in. I'm not going to put white sauce on the top of it. I don't know. Like, I think it's supposed to be a bit burrata-y, but it's. I don't know why it's gone like that. I mean, it says on the packet. It doesn't say that it's what we call it. It doesn't say that it's a burrata. Oh no, it is burrata. Yeah, it's a burrata. There's 2, but they're just not particularly very good burratas. I don't know if it's because they were just about coming to the end of the date, but it tastes a bit creamy cheesy, and a bit of an acidity to it, which I don't normally associate with burratas. It wasn't like melting, it wasn't like just cream in the centre, but they were free, and we're going to use them, and we're going to cook with them, so it's fine. I think I would have been disappointed if I bought them, but I like eggs, but they're not. So that and there, that and there, that and there. And then what we're going to do, a layer of vegetables. I think once I've just washed my hands. Yeah, I think we'll do. Hope we've got enough of everything. Hopefully I've got enough breadcrumbs. Just wipe that down and then I'm going to go swimming, so I'll just put it in the oven. And the ingredients are warm-ish, so all it really needs doing is baking all together. Yeah, so if I wasn't going to put any cheese in it, like these burratas or mozzarellas or feta, I would have put a white sauce on top of it, but I don't think it needs that extra richness. That's that. And then another load of breadcrumbs. I mean, this kind of just falls into what vegetables you've got left in the house, and some dried bread and some old bread and a bit of cheese and a tin of tomatoes, and you've made yourself a meal. So like, I suppose it's a little bit like a leftover ratatouille. So that can be washed. I'm not going to put any cheese on top, I'm going to put breadcrumbs on top, and then we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, so I would have done white sauce with then cheese on top, and it would make it bulked it out a bit further, but it's not going to need it with those burratas in. It's a shame. I would have liked to have eaten those burratas just as is. I was given 2 packets and I tried them, and if they'd been better quality, I wouldn't have used them in this. I would have eaten them just on their own. And then breadcrumbs on top. I'm not going to use all the breadcrumbs. Give it squished down, and then in the oven, 120 degrees for. I suppose I really should use all the breadcrumbs up. No, I'll do something else with those on another day. So 125 degrees. Going to be out for an hour and a half, something like that. So that'll be fine. Otherwise, I'd put them in the oven for 50 minutes on 180, something like that. But there's no need to do that. We'll just do it. I'll just turn up the heat when I come home. You should be ready. Yes, that's definitely ready. Maybe a little bit too ready. Off. Still haven't fixed the squeaky oven door. So, right. Let's use the scissors. It's just easier to use scissors when you're cutting through cheese. Otherwise, the cheese wants to all stick together, and then the first person gets all the cheese. It's going to be too hot to eat. Right, just have to let it cool down first. Is it holding together? Yes, it's holding together well. Do you know, I think less breadcrumbs in future. I think less breadcrumbs. You just can't see the layers as well as I would like. It just looks like all bread. So I can see the layers in there. That's not so bad. Let's get that piece out and then we'll be able to get a better picture. And that's why I've always got too much washing up, because I have to get the second plate out to put the thing on to get the better picture. Where are we? kind of going to be a better picture, and I lost that bit. So, not to worry. Alright, let's taste this bit. See, the burrata hasn't really kind of melted one, which is a bit disappointing. Oh, hot. Oh, it's nice. I prefer this one to the meat ragu one, but still, out and out the winner is the beef tomato one, which is the best one. But anyway, and I think less breadcrumbs. I think instead of 100 grams, I think 75 grams. I think that's about right. About the right kind of ratio. Yeah. So, kind of depends. Well, it all depends on how much breadcrumbs you've got. But I reckon 75 grams of bread per layer. Maybe less. Between 50 and 75. And the tomato's the best one, but the vegetables very good. A mixture of vegetables and beef ragu would be nice as well. But there we go. Success.